9. When the news reached all the kings on the west side of the Jordan, in the hill country, the foothills, and all along the Mediterranean coast, as far as Lebanon, including the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, they formed an alliance to fight against Joshua and the Israelites. When the residents of Gibeon heard what Joshua did to Jericho and Ai, they did something clever. They collected some provisions and put worn-out sacks on their donkeys, along with worn-out wineskins that were ripped and patched. They had worn-out patched sandals on their feet, and dressed in worn-out clothes. All their bread was dry and hard. They came to Joshua at the camp in Gilgal and said to him and to the men of Israel, "We have come from a distant land. Make a treaty with us." The men of Israel said to the Hivites, "Perhaps you live near us, so how can we make a treaty with you?" But then Joshua said, they said to Joshua, "We are willing to be your subjects." So Joshua said to them, "Who are you and where do you come from?" They told him, your subjects have come from a very distant land because of the reputation of the Lord your God. For we have heard the news about all he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the 2 Amorite kings and on the other side of the Jordan, King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan in Ashtaroth. Our leader and all who live in our land told us, 'Take provisions for your journey and go meet them. Tell them, we are willing to be your subjects. Make a treaty with us.' This bread of ours was warm when we packed it in our homes the day we started out to meet you, but now it is dry and hard. These wineskins were filled with brand new, but look how they have ripped. Our clothes and sandals have worn out because it has become a very long journey." The men examined some of their provisions, and they failed to ask the Lord's advice. Joshua made a peace treaty with them and agreed to let them live. The leaders of the community sealed it with an oath. 3 days later, after they had made the treaty with them, the Israelites found out they were from the local area and lived nearby. So the Israelites set out on the 3rd day and arrived at their cities, Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kirioth Jearim. The Israelites did not attack them because the leaders of the community had sworn an oath to them in the name of the Lord God of Israel. The whole community criticized the leaders, but all the leaders told the whole community, "We have sworn an oath to them in the name of the Lord God of Israel, so now we can't hurt them. We must let them live so we can escape the curse attached to the oath we swore to them." The leaders then added, "Let them live." So they became woodcutters and water carriers for the whole community as the leaders had decided. Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and said to them, "Why did you trick us by saying we live far away from you when you really live nearby? Now you are condemned to perpetual servitude as woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God." They said to Joshua, "It was carefully reported to your subjects how the Lord your God commanded Moses his servants to assign you the whole land and to destroy all who live in the land from before you. Because we were terrified. We would lose our lives, so we did this thing. So now we are in your power. Do to us what you think is good and appropriate." Joshua did as they said. He kept the Israelites from killing them, and that day made them woodcutters and water carriers for the community and for the altar of the Lord at the divinely chosen site. They continue in that capacity to this very day. All right, I don't know. I have fun reading the voices. Welcome in. We got a few people coming in while I'm reading. Mad Dog T West, good morning. Good to see you. Wouldn't they have been a breach in the pact for not being from a distant land they claim to be? That is a good question, Omega. Would they have not violated the terms of it by lying to get them to sign it in the first place? I always thought that, like, you lied, when you made the agreement, so then I'm not bound by the agreement. However, when you're making these oaths, you're making the oath to God. So the fact that the other party deceived you in going into it is not the other party's fault from this perspective, because they made no inquiry of God. They did not go to God to see if this was a good thing or not. They did an investigation. They thought it was good enough, but their oath is to God as much as it is to the other party. So they would have said, here's what will happen to us if we break this. Just because they were lied to in going into it does not give them an out, because the promise was to God that they would not kill them. So to go and now kill them would violate that promise to God. Does that make sense, Omega? Yeah, hey, Lucis, welcome in. Yeah, the only problem is when I switch back and forth voices, I never remember if I get the same one. When I go back. I try, but it's not like I've got a set one unless I'm copying a person. All right. So we did have the news reached all the hill country and the Jordan. It's reached everywhere. They've come into the land. We know that's going on. Yeah, the question of the day is easy for you. It's Twitch. Yeah. Yeah, should have consulted the all-knowing. Exactly. So we have let's see how many we have there. The Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. We have the list of 6 here. They form an alliance. So these are forming an alliance. However, these are some Hivites. So they're forming an alliance, but not all of them do. The residents of Gibeon hear about this, and they come up with a plan. Now, to me, Elorend, welcome in. If what you have heard is that you are all supposed to be annihilated, wouldn't going and saying, we will submit to your God because your God has all power, be a form of contrition? Here's the thing, though. I think, perhaps, because we can only speculate, perhaps, had they gone to God and asked him, could they make a treaty with them because they are coming and want a treaty because they want to serve the God, our God, because of how powerful he is and because of all they've heard, God might have shown mercy to them, and they may have been, fine, you can make a treaty. So I think they could have. Welcome in, Samus. Good to see you. Did we have a raid? All of a sudden I'm getting a bunch of people that came over that I saw earlier over on ukulele. Just making sure. Did we have a raid? I don't see a raid. Just some people coming over. Okay. So I think possibly, but the point is, they go through this whole deceptive thing. Like even think about this logically, how ludicrous this is. Our bread was warm when we left, and our wine was new. Okay, so just think about wine and how long it takes to ferment. Now, not talking about aging the wine in barrels and that kind of a thing, but we put brand new wine in here. It has fermented along the way. And you're to put new wine into new wineskins, looking at the wineskin and seeing how worn it is. Our clothes were new. They're totally going from head to toe, everything they have, deceiving them about the great distance that they came from. If they came from such a great distance, they should not have been on the list to take and, go and attack them. So they could have, it's like you went so far that it's like it was extreme in your presentation, it was sus. You know, like they're totally sus in the extreme that they go to. Okay, Samus, okay, I was more concerned I missed the raid, if a raid came in, because I know she does raid me often. So it was like, oh, all of a sudden there's a bunch of people here. And it's good to see you, Samus. I heard you were going to go do some traveling. Have fun. And I still want to get you on my podcast this year. So, we could talk more about it. We can work it out, but I got several people, I got the whole month figured out already, and I'm working on February. I'm having fun with that. Okay. So they lie completely, but the treaty is binding. Now, we usually think, hey, you cannot lie and get into a treaty or a contract and all of that. The example that, if you know it, where, shoot, now I'm blanking on his name. Jim Carrey plays the lawyer who can't lie. I can't remember the name of it. He finally gets them to nullify the contract because she was underage and therefore unable to actually sign a binding contract. They get that out there. Liar, liar. Thank you, Ellerin. Liar, liar. He's able to do that because he finds a clause out. That's our mentality, is to find a clause to escape from a contract that we have. Now, these are treaties. They're not quite the same. But yeah, people can still violate them, and there's punishment for them. So they don't want to violate them because the punishment that you would have would be calling upon the gods to enact judgment for violating these. So you're not just saying, I'll have some penalty in court if I violate it. No, it is calling on God or your gods, if you're not of Israel, to enact the judgment for missing or not upholding it. Okay, and they're going through the whole list of things, of all the things, and they're explaining all of the stuff, and they're checking all the stuff. And then the people complain. The people complain. So when we find that part, so the whole community criticized the leaders. What do we have here in the words there? Grumbled against. Ooh. The grumbled against. So remember, as they're wandering in the desert, the people are grumbling against God. They're grumbling against the leaders. The people are still grumbling against them now with legitimate reason. But they come up with a solution here. So the deception results in, you violated it. We can't kill you, but we are going to make you woodcutters and water carriers for the whole community. And look at how many times I repeat that. They became woodcutters and water carriers for the whole community, as the leaders had decided. And then they have the conversation about, why did you trick us? And then you're going to become woodcutters and water carriers for the Lord our God, perpetual servitude. And then they go on, and then do to us what you think is appropriate. He kept the Israelites from killing them. So Joshua is keeping them from killing them. And then again, the woodcutters and water carriers. So think about firewood. That's what I'm thinking here, the woodcutters. You're going to be going and you're going to be getting wood for the fire, for the altar, at the temple. You're going to be the water carriers so that you have water, so that the basin's filled, so that everybody who needs to go wash in the mikvah, so they can come in. They're doing a task, a menial task on some level. And they're going to continue, and I love that this is a phrase that happens in Joshua and Judges, and it is that way to this very day. It's like this. You still know this. You still know this. All right. Omega, our wine was new. What they meant to say was, our mothers packed our grape juice to traverse the desert. Now it's fermented. We can't drink that in the desert. We'll dehydrate. I like that extension that you went to with there. Yes, we can't drink it in the desert. We'll dehydrate. Crackers and Graves Troop, typical nursery snacks. There you go. All right, there we have it. That is Joshua 9.